This lesson refers to linear inequalities, and when dealing with inequalities we have the symbols greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to, and it's what the variable that makes it a true statement. The solution set of an inequality is a set of all solutions, meaning that there can be more than one solution. The idea is the same as solving an equation, that you want to get your variable on one side and your constant on the other side of the inequality symbol, which can be treated similar to an equal sign. So in order to move the positive 6x to the left hand side of the inequality, we would subtract or add a negative 6x to both sides. And to move my constant, I would add 1, positive 1 to both sides. And add like terms, which 7x minus 6x is positive 1x. My 1's cancel. I'm left with greater than or equal to. And in this case, my 6x and my 1's cancel out, so I'm actually left with 0 because there's nothing left on that side of the inequality. So my statement is that x is greater than or equal to 0, which that would be my solution. To graph this, we would be concerned with 0 on the number line. Because it is equal to, we would use a bracket. If it is not equal to, we would use a parenthesis. And on a number line, anything to the right of 0 would be greater than, which is what the inequality is indicating that we want to mark, or all the numbers or all the solutions that are greater than or equal to 0. So a bracket is going to be placed pointing to the right because we need to include all of the numbers that are greater than 0. So to represent this, we would shade on the number line on the right everything that is greater than 0. And the number line can be written a little bit more detailed than this, but the primary number looking at that is 0. To write this one more way in interval notation, we want to indicate the shaded portion. And just as we read statements from left to right, we read mathematical inequalities from left to right. So as far as solutions are concerned, the furthest number to the left on the number line that can be a solution is actually 0. Now 0 has a bracket with it. If it were a parenthesis, meaning that there was no equal sign, we would use a parenthesis in interval notation. But because it has a bracket, we have to also mark that in the interval notation. We place a comma, and now we're going to write everything. How far does this shading or the solutions are to the right of 0, which in this case they actually go to positive infinity. They do not stop because the arrow is shaded in. We cannot equal infinity, so therefore we have to use a parenthesis to close that. So all three parts of these can represent my solution as far as writing it numerically, graphically, and as far as writing it as interval notation. A compound inequality looks somewhat like this. This states that my variable is x such that negative 3 is greater than or equal to x, which is greater than or equal to negative 7. This can be split into two different parts. Covering or writing one part of this down, you could write negative 3 is greater than or equal to x. That's one statement that is actually written from this. Also, you could write the other portion, which is x is greater than or equal to negative 7. Now in inequalities, it's easier to look at your x or variable on the left hand side, so you can swap places with the x and the negative 3, but if you interchange anything such as this, the symbol or the inequality also has to interchange, so you would flip that over. So therefore we have the two statements, x is less than or equal to negative 3 and x is greater than or equal to negative 7. So as far as writing this numerically, that's one way that you could rewrite it. As far as graphically, the numbers negative 3 and negative 7 need to be placed on the number line. Well, on the number line, negative 7 would be to the left-hand side of negative 3 because negative 3 would be closer to 0, which would theoretically be the center of our number line. So negative 7, it has an equal sign. It says x is greater than or equal to negative 7. So we're going to place a bracket because of the equal sign, and we're going to open it to the right because it's greater than. x is less than or equal to -3 means we're going to have a bracket opening to the left bracket because of the equal sign, and left because it's less than. And as you can see, if we graph these separately, the only place that these two statements overlap is actually in the middle. So we would just shade the middle portion, and that's what that statement would be represented graphically, how it would be represented graphically. As far as interval notation is concerned, again, we're writing the shaded portion from left to right. The furthest integer or number on the left-hand side of that solution would be -7. It does not go past -7 to the left, and it does not go past -3 to the right. And both of those would have brackets because the graph has brackets. So all three parts of those could represent the solution. Another problem could look like this. Again, I highly suggest the x's or the variables be placed on the left-hand side of the inequality. So I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides, and I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides to move it across that inequality symbol. Adding like terms, positive x and -6x, your signs are opposite, so subtract and take the largest number's sign. So 1 from 6 is going to give us 5. 6 is larger, so that negative sign comes with it, and the x follows along. Less than, the 20s have canceled, the 6x's cancel, we're left with -20. Now when dividing an inequality by a negative number, that means we have to take the opposite meaning, which means we have to change the direction, not the symbol, but the direction of the inequality. So from less than, it's going to swap to greater than, just because we divided by a negative number. Does not have anything to do with the 20 being negative, it's only that the 5 is negative. So -20 divided by -5, a negative divided by negative is a positive, and 20 divided by 5 is +4. So when representing that graphically, we would mark our +4 with a parenthesis because there is no equal sign. X is greater than, so that means we're going to open the parenthesis to the right hand side because everything to the right of -4 would be shaded. All of those would be solutions, such as +5, +6, +7, +8. So that's why I say that there's more than one solution. So graphically, that would represent x is greater than +4. Interval notation, furthest point to the left of that shaded portion would be the 4 with a parenthesis because graphically it has the same thing. Put a place a comma. Everything to the right, it shades all the way to the right, which is positive infinity, which we can never equal, so therefore that is your solution as far as interval notation is written.